Welcome to Northbound Alaska, the Trucking Files, a podcast where we talk to haul road drivers, both past and present, to carry on the knowledge and experience of one of the toughest roads on Earth.
On this episode, Aaron and Nathan sit down with Alaska legend Dwight Buzby. Dwight is a fifth-generation Alaskan, grew up in Fairbanks and Salcha and Palmer, and has well over 4 million miles in the state of Alaska alone.
So, we're back with Dwight Buzby. Excuse me. We got a lot of requests that people really enjoyed your last episode there, so I think they liked your colorful personality.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of putting it.
So we're doing things a little different today. Aaron's sitting on the same side with the guest, and he's going to be showing Dwight some pictures here. You want to go into a little bit of the list first here? Excuse me. We wrote this list. Aaron wrote this list. He's talking, let's see. You got Dad's history in trucking. So he wanted to ask you about how your dad got into it, if you can remember any of that.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember. My dad was... Actually, my dad's ledger number in the Teamsters Union, you had to be a Teamster when everybody did to drive up here, but he was 4,075 was his ledger number. I think he joined in 1950, and I think he joined up in Anchorage. But yeah, well, that was the only place they had a hall back then, I think, but yeah. Yeah, he used to drive. He worked for Al at Alaska Freight Lines a little bit, and Weaver Brothers, and I think he started driving truck for a guy named Bob Milkey there in Palmer, hauling potatoes. It was a potato farmer. That was pretty funny. Dad didn't talk a lot, but when he did talk a little bit, he had a lot to say.
It seemed like your dad always kind of did a lot of different things, but was that kind of his primary job, was trucking, or was he just kind of did whatever?
No, he liked trucking the best, but he owned a gas station, and he was a very, very, very good mechanic. Did lots of mechanic work. And my uncle Jim Herman and them, they had Herman Brothers Construction in Palmer, and then my dad ended up being their shop foreman for 30-some years. Huh. And did all the lowboying and stuff. And he really liked his lowboying. He had this old 57 Kenworth that was, that's what I learned to drive in. And man, that thing was a rip snorter. I remember I used it to haul a loader up to the gold mine on the Denali Highway there. And I pulled into the old Big Sioux Lodge there, and then I pulled out just as the Sealand guys come in, and they were all whining on the radio, oh, that dang old truck got out ahead of us, we're going to have to pass him, blah, blah, blah. So I stood on that thing would run, boy. And I was pulled into Jack River filling up my thermos when they went by. Man, what's he got in that old thing? We couldn't catch him. They were really trying hard, too. But that thing was so cranked up, Dad had a box full of head bolts right beside the seat where I got really fast at knocking the top off and putting a new head bolt in to get rid of the chirp because I had my foot in it too far. It was really cranked. It was a 335.
Yeah.
I know when I first went from a 335, I got a 350 Cummins, and I thought, man, I'm top of the fucking world. That's the biggest engine they make, and that thing was a piece of you-know-what. That old 335 would run circles around that 350.
Really?
I hated that thing into passion. And I've had 2 or 3 of them. They were really good, reliable motor, but they were gutless. So what we did then, well, you can ask old Dave Smallwood. These things would run. We'd make NTA 420s out of them. Holy smokes, them suckers would run. They'd scare you. I mean, you'd get your foot in it and you wanted to go faster, just mash her some more. And we had those things putting out about 400 pounds of rail pressure. And they just start vibrating, and shit would come apart eventually, but boy, they would run good.
So was your dad living down there in Palmer back then when he was trucking, or was he kind of...
No, he did. He moved down there we moved to Palmer when I was about 3 or 4. And then he stayed there. He liked it down there. But he's born here in Fairbanks, my dad. And my grandpa, too, he was born here in Fairbanks.
That's cool. So was your dad just trucking all over the state, or was he going back and forth like to Washington like some of them guys?
No, he did. He hauled a lot to Whitehorse. You know, back then that was quite a trip, and they hauled fuel, and you wouldn't believe how they hauled fuel back in those days. Every fuel, it was all in barrels on a flatbed, and they would unload them by hand. That's how they hauled fuel.
That's crazy. That's just because they probably didn't have any tankers back then.
Well, no, and there's no, nobody had any way to store it. You had to, if you didn't have a barrel, you couldn't put it anywhere. So that's what they hauled it in barrels.
Kind of like
that. Yeah. That's how everybody hauled fuel. You just put them in a barrel. But the old barrels were so strong, you could just roll them off a trailer and it wouldn't even dent them.
I've seen some different videos of them guys where they're rolling them on and off, like the Laterno land train and all that.
Yeah. We used to just put a tire down there to catch them. Just roll them off and catch them. But
so I'm wondering where these guys are probably up north.
Oh, that looks like it's up on the way. That's pretty close up to Bettles there, actually. That's on the old ice road, I can tell. I'm sure that with looking at the way the hills are, they're over there. I think they're on the old ice road somewhere between the river and Bettles, but that looks closer to Bettles.
Yeah, I was thinking these were pictures from like the late 60s or whatever, but
yeah.
Well, I wish I knew how to work this thing better.
Well, don't ask me because I'm mentally retarded when it comes to that shit. I just hand it to a grandkid and they go, and there you go, Grandpa.
Yeah, I usually hand stuff to my kids anymore. I used to be good at this stuff, but I keep finding random pictures here. Oh, that ain't gonna come up, is it? It don't matter. Did you have another question, Nathan?
Yeah, so your dad was driving on the Hickle Highway too at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he drove all over. I mean, I rode with him lots when I was little. I mean, it was you had to miss school and stuff because most of that shit was done in the wintertime, but I never minded missing school.
Yeah.
But it was, just a trip like to go to Galbraith Lake. That was a 2-week trip up and back, So
yeah.
If you had a good trip, I mean, it might not be good. Depends on how many people fell through the frickin' ice. And
so you would go with him all the time then?
Yeah, I'd go.
Would he just say, "Come on, you're going with me, Dwight"?
Yeah. No, yeah.
We're leaving in the morning.
I could drive a 5 and a 4, but when I was 10 or 11, that was fun. So I still like them better than anything. Oh, that's a nice picture. That's an old Weaver truck.
Yeah, I wonder if that was up there going up to Bettles or whatever.
That looks like that's the old ice road. It's pretty flat in that picture, so that's probably coming up out of you're about halfway across from the river. When on the old ice road, we never had to go over any of those hills. You can stay on flats all the way to Bettles, really. Because there's little hills, but not.
Yeah.
The reason they did that, what they did now, where they went now, is just that was where the pipeline was going to go on purpose because they needed all them steep hills to slow the oil down because it gets going too fast in the pipe, and then it makes the pumps cavitate.
Kind of hard to believe that it would actually make it go too fast. Like
it does. It's moving about 60 miles an hour in there anyway.
Okay.
So they, if it goes up and then goes whooshing down the other side without something going up the other way to slow it down, then it gets these big gaps in there where there's air.
Okay.
And those big pumps don't pump air. It just basically like shuts it down.
Wow.
They've made all that shit. They've figured all that stuff out now, so they don't have to do any of that. But
that's pretty crazy. Never really knew all about that, how it went through the pipe, but
basically the haul road is where it is, so the pipeline had access. Because if anybody that had a half a brain would have never put a road there like it is.
Yeah, everyone's always wondering, why do they make the road like this? Why are these steep grades here?
This is like when you're up on the Beaver Slide. I see it's from the pictures. It's looking pretty squirrely like it used to be. But if you just sit up there and look around, if you can see right back the way you came, and you can go right around all them hills and head right out across the flats towards Bettles and come back around towards Coldfoot. And you don't have to go on any of those hills. They're just...
Yeah. So back when you first started driving up there, was the Beaver Slide always that mucky in the summertime when it would rain, or was
it's worse than that. I've literally been down the Beaver Slide where you had to stick it in second gear, and and occasionally you'd have your foot flat on the floor to go down the hill in the mud. In fact, Arlo Wells one day was so dang bent out of shape, he was going down there. And, I mean, you're dragging everything. The fuel tanks are dragging, and he's dragging, and he tore his bumper off and ran over his fucking bumper. He was bent. Well, you know, Arlo had a quick temper, but he was a good dude. But he really was short-fused sometimes. And, of course, that would have made you short-fused. You run over your bumper, rip your own bumper off and drive over it, you know.
Yeah.
You probably don't recognize that truck, do you? Or,
No, I don't know.
that's probably a really old picture.
That's like a 72 Pete.
I was trying to figure out if people recognize any of these trucks, but I haven't. I think this one's probably in the mid-'70s, I'm guessing.
No, and I recognize that truck, but I don't remember. We had a lot of different outfits up here, and like Cap's Transport out of Canada, they had a lot of trucks up here. And, yeah, there was quite a bit different companies that aren't here anymore, but, oh, yeah.
That's probably on the way to Bettle there, too, huh?
Yeah, that's the old ice road.
And them cats look brand new.
They are. I wish I had one of them. Nice 46A there. Oh, that's a D9, that one. That's an old D9G.
So this is probably the late 68, 69, something like that then.
Yeah. See, back then everybody could run all this shit. You didn't have to not trust them, but if you notice, the center line of his tracks are outside of the edge of the lowboy, so he's running an 8-wide lowboy with a D9 on it in the icy snow in the winter. And let me tell you what, you ain't never seen slick until you try to get a setting on tracks on a fucking metal lowboy.
Oh, man.
That shit is like an ice skate if you don't get it perfectly. Hell, we just load them on their crossways so you didn't fall off and haul them that way because it worked just as good.
Yeah, I think, was it Dad was saying that guys would just get fired if they dropped one of those off the trailer?
Actually, I was talking with Pat McGlinchey. He'd run a dozer during the pipeline, but I can't remember who he was working for, but somebody was trying to load this dozer, and they fired like 2 or 3 guys right in front of him. They'd go up there and slide the thing off the trailer, and I remember he said he got over there. It's like, hey, get that lowboy level before I'm going to drive up there.
Well, if they wanted you to run over the back, but anybody that's ever loaded a lowboy tell you, fuck that back shit. Just load it over the damn side.
Yeah.
And spin it around on the trailer because you can keep your tracks all where you need to be until you get on there. But yeah, well, most of the problem was the guys never kept their decks cleaned off and shit, and there's always hunks and chunks, and you know, you leave dirt and shit on them old decks, and I mean, you get on there with a heavy cat or something, and it just pokes the shit right through your wood deck, and you know, and then you got to change the decking out. Well, you just use old soft wood and get it 4 inches thick so it's stuck up above the side rails, so keep the tracks on the wood instead of hitting the side rails so the shit wouldn't fall off. Me, I would just take the loader when nobody was looking. I'd just take the loader and flip the lowboy up over on his stomach, and then I'd just pick it up in the air and drop it about twice, and all the fucking wood would fall off, and then you didn't have to try to get all them goddamn screws out of there.
Do you recognize where that was at?
It's kind of fuzzy.
Yeah, it's not a
It
very good
actually looks
picture.
like up on top of the beaver, or on top of the knob almost.
Yeah, it kind of does.
I think it is. That looks like on top of the knob.
Yeah, you probably don't recognize who that is, huh?
I do, but I can't think of the. It's kind of fuzzy, so I can't tell. Maybe I'm just old and I can't see good anymore.
Well, this picture is 50 years old probably, and or maybe not that old, but probably not good quality. You got another question, Nathan?
Yeah, so when your dad was taking you with him, did he say much when he was driving, or was he pretty quiet?
No, he was pretty quiet, but he always, you know, whenever something was different, he'd always tell me about how to do stuff and how to shift, and he'd get kind of expressive, but he was expressive with his hands, so I knew I better shut up and fucking listen, you know, because he wasn't going to tell me twice, but he was always.
Did he ever tell you to sit back in the seat so he could see out the mirror?
No, because I knew better than that, because anytime I seen him leaning over like this, I'm like, well, I'm in his frickin' ways. Okay.
That's probably one thing every kid remembers, because I remember doing that.
Well, I remember my dad, I thought, went like a bastard, and I mean, I thought he did, but I'd pretend to be asleep over there in the seat so I didn't have to look out over all them cliffs and shit. And now I'm checking, I drive down through there 100 miles a goddamn hour, and I'm like, okay. But it was funny. My dad was falling asleep. We always we liked cab overs. I mean, I did. I still do. I'd rather drive a cab over today. But, going down through the mountains out of Palmer, like towards Glen Allen there, and, and a lot of cliffs and shit. And my dad had driven through there at 70 miles an hour in that goddamn old Astro, and I just sit there and watch. And Dad got really, really sleepy one time. I remember I was only about 12 or so. He let me drive. Christ, he was laying on the dock. Jesus Christ, you're off. I said, Dad, you just don't know what it's like riding in a cab over. It looks like you're sitting 6 feet out in the ditch when you're sitting in the passenger side, but you're right on the road, But woke him right up. I only got to drive about 20 miles before he was wide awake.
And you already knew how to drive at that point, huh?
Oh, yeah. No, I could drive by myself.
Yeah. So did he teach you how to drive, or did you just take the truck out one day and said, I'm going to learn how to drive this thing?
Well, I did that too, but I did a lot of stuff when nobody was looking because I'd listen to all them guys, and nobody's around today. Yeah, go do laps,
You ever get chewed out for doing that?
No, never.
Yeah.
No.
Is that down there by Copper Center? Do you know where that is?
Yep, that's either Tonsina or Copper Center.
Oh, it could be Tonsina.
See, the old lodge at Tonsina, it's still there, but it's actually not from Tonsina. It's actually one of the old barracks from Dayville over there, where the pipeline, the Day family owned all that land over there. They had a cannery in a town, and on the other side from Valdez, where the pipeline terminal is, and they bought that land from the Days. But they had originally there used to be an army base there from, I don't know when they were put that in there, in the 30s, I think. Anyway, they bought it, but that old Tonsina Lodge, they cut that in sections and hauled it up there in a 2-story and hauled it up there a section at a time and put it back together. The old original one.
Huh.
And like the old bridge that went into Chittana there on the Tonsina River was just a little 1-lane bridge. And it was in there forever, and they finally replaced it. Well, it got jacked up and hauled in there, and it was about 2/3 of the way into McCarthy. They put that bridge in there. That's where that bridge went.
Okay.
So I would go in there with my old twin steer cab over, and the cab of my truck only cleared that inside of that bridge by about that much.
Wow. Really?
You had to get right in there. In fact, a lot of times, the locals in there, they kept the cat down, we just go around the bridge and drive down through the river and back up the other side because it was easier.
So was that twin steer that you had, was that a pretty long truck?
Yeah, it was. It was a tri-drive twin steer, but it wasn't as long as the super trucks were. It was like 285 wheelbase.
Okay.
Just right.
So that would be, if you had that in a tandem drive, that would have been 310 inches.
Okay.
Roughly.
Did you ever take that truck up the Hall Road, or?
Oh yeah, I took it up to Coldfoot and shit all the time in Prudhoe. Yeah.
That thing do pretty good going through drifts and stuff? Oh,
it's better than anything. I love them twin steers. I can break drifts better than anybody. I really like it when the road gets slick. All them Peterbilts and all their shit, they're putting along 2-3 miles an hour, and I'm doing 50. 25,000 on the steering and going like a bastard. What's wrong with you guys?
Do you remember when they were moving this gold dredge?
Yeah.
That was Frontier moving that, huh?
Yeah, that's a Frontier. They moved. We moved a big one up at Chicken all the way up over through the rough shit. Have you ever been up to Eagle or any of that?
I haven't been that far up there.
They hauled that up, one of them just like that one, all the way back to Chicken to put it up for a.
So where were they moving this one at?
I don't know. That one actually looks just like it's north of town. I think that might be old Gold number 8. They moved it from up the thing and put it down where it is now.
Oh, really?
I think that kind of looks like old number 8. Yeah. Yeah, Frontier did a lot of that shit. Old Tennessee was he was a nice guy on Frontier. I really liked him. He was literally an old mule skinner from Tennessee. That's what an old wagon guy, where they pulled 2 or 3 wagons with mules and shit. That's where he started out at.
Oh man, yeah, they don't make.
He was
those
born
guys
in
anymore.
the 1800s. He's a really nice guy though. Gosh, those guys are from the South. I don't care what anybody says. They're really polite and they got their own way of talking and they don't take much bullshit, but they're really nice.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where that's at.
That looks like an old Caps transport truck.
Well, I think that's a muckluck truck hit the Caps truck.
Yeah.
That long pipe, but
Well, that's because those guys couldn't understand with a steerable. I've had a couple of them. Well, I pulled lots of pipe with them, but they were a steerable dolly, so they had 2 tandems and then a 10-foot spread. But they steered, and they were cross-chained too, so they steered really tight. But the problem is, if you didn't get them on there right, them guys would get a little something and get going sideways. Well, you had to stop and back up and get straight because they would just keep turning. And they'd head off to Gobbler's Knob, and then they'd run the trailer up the bank and tip over. And that's definitely an old Caps truck there. Those old Caps trucks, they had the first version of the 892s in them, but they were naturally aspirated, and they were 380 horse instead of 318s.
Oh man.
But they were 92 cubes per cylinder, and those all had a 10-speed with a 2-speed Brownie in them.
oh really?
Yeah, so it gave you 20 gears, just like you had a 5 and a 4, which is 20.
That's somewhere on the Elliott, but these pictures aren't blowing up very good for us. But I wonder if I've been trying to figure out where this picture's at.
Do you want to pull stuff up on this computer too? You want to?
No, I don't think it'll.
Yeah, that was just where the river overflowed and went down the road there. I know where that is. But that's the trail to Bettles. That's not a.
Yeah, we figured it was over there towards Bettles somewhere.
They used to do that all the time. I got pictures of me driving through that. I actually jumped out on the ice one time because I could make it, and I was driving through the fucking overflow, and my headlights were underwater. That's how much water we were driving through. So the boss never believed me, so I jumped out and took a picture of it.
So Dwight, when they first started taking the, they overland with the dozers, did they go to Live and Good the original way, or they just went in the valleys?
No, we went to Live and Good on the road, and then you took off right from Live and Good, and you headed, instead of going like you do now, you turn right and go right up through that little valley and drop right into the Yukon. But it's not much, just little hills.
So you didn't go up 1 mile. You guys.
Oh no, that wasn't
around
it.
that.
The original road went right around that valley, and we used to have to stop and turn and start out from scratch, going right up the hill. That didn't have the road going down through the dip.
And you can kind of still see part of the
you can
old
still
road
drive
through
on
there.
it actually.
Oh, you can. Okay.
But right where the road to Manly comes out, that little road that takes off, that's the old road. So we would actually come right to there. So when you're coming down 1 mile to come home, you had to stop and make a 90-degree turn, or you just fucked off into the woods.
But when you guys were on the cat trains,
No, we went the other way. We went up through Live and Good Community, and then up through there, across the Yukon, over to what the hell that Fort Hamlin there. There was an old military fort there.
But did you guys go up over 6 Mile there, or cross 6 Mile, or how did that?
They're probably way east of there.
We went. Yeah, we're north and east of there.
Okay.
Yeah. It never come close to the Hall Road. I mean, even at the Hall Road right now, where if you went right past the old Live and Good camp, and then down the road about a half a mile, there's a little valley creek that starts. If you go right up through there, you can go all the way up to 26 Mile without ever hitting a hill.
Yeah.
And then you can go around 26 Mile and go around, and you can literally almost make it to the river with no hills close to the road.
Yeah.
I probably showed you
Weaver
that picture,
Brothers,
I think, before.
No, that's a Weaver truck, though.
Yeah.
Weaver Brothers had a whole fleet of old Kenworths so did Bayless and Roberts, with old Kenworths with tanks and pups, because it's still the best way to haul fuel, because you can go anywhere with them.
I can't tell if they're on the river there or if they're actually on
No, they're on the river, but it looks like they've built the ice up a little bit.
Yeah, so that's just. I think
That's up there. That's actually on the Old Hall Road there. That's up by Dietrich or somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that hill. That's that great big hill. It's about, what the hell mile? I don't even know what mile it is. Their mileage is all different because we all started our mileage from town or from Fox, and they start their miles from where you turn off on the. They're at 1 mile.
Yeah, this is just a few. Like Suckapuck's just right south of this. It's right over here. And this one, you can see this mountain from Dietrich.
Yeah, that thing stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that picture. Yeah.
Everybody laughs, but about 3/4 of the truck never had sleepers on them, so we all kind of fought over getting if we could find an old International Transtar or something because they were wide. The cabs were wide enough to fucking sleep in. Otherwise, you slept sitting in your seater. Me, I would have my winter. Oh, there's old Rudy.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was Rudy's truck. That's probably around 39 mile. Or
yeah,
what I was
that's
guessing.
between Live and Good in town there. It looks like no, that is up at 39. Black and white cab over, so that was, or that green and white. I bet you that's a Muckluck truck.
Yeah, I think that's Muckluck.
Do you remember meeting Dave Smallwood?
Oh yeah. I love Dave. He's awesome, dude.
What do you remember? What was significant about that meeting? Did you see him on?
Oh,
the
he
road,
wasn't sure about me when we first met. I mean, we worked on the pipeline, but not together. But I didn't really get to know him good until the early '80s there when sourdough was on strike, and that's when I got to know Dave good. But I liked him.
Yeah.
The whole family. I kind of miss him doing his little
The Chuck Hole Gazette.
Chuck Hole Gazette thing because he get fucking wound up about some of them idiots that were doing stupid shit. He'd put her in the Chuck Hole Gazette.
Yeah, we got a whole stack of them, but he said he's coming back here next month. So
Is he?
do you know where that's at?
I do actually. That's in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I recognize that place. Been there. I just can't remember it. What the name of that is. What set it off is I recognize the hills a little bit, but I recognize that sign.
Huh. Is that in the Yukon then, probably?
That's coming back from Haines because we had every timber for every camp all came out of the sawmill in Haines, Alaska. And that's the old 33-mile cafe, which is still there. But it doesn't look like that now, but that's where that is. Huh. That's coming out of Haines. That was the old road into Haines. Let me tell you that was a road that you think going off the pass here is a long drive. Coming off the pass to get to the border is 11 miles of the same thing, about 7%, 8%.
So this is just out of Haines a little bit? Or
That's
this is
33 mile, yeah. That's
okay.
33 miles out of Haines. The border is at about 40 mile.
I guess that makes sense. I was trying to
No, that's just looking at that because I've been there a million times, and we all the timbers all came out, all the wood that they set the camps on. John cut all that shit was like 24 foot long. I mean, like 12 by 12s. Schnabel, John Schnabel. His grandson, the guy in Gold Rush. His grandpa owned the sawmill, and he was a gold miner too.
Okay.
Yeah, our family when they lived in Haines in '66, but they went to school with the Schnabels. I can't remember.
Well, Parker's dad, with John's son, he owns Southeast Road Builders.
Yeah. I think that my dad, or maybe, I don't know. My family went to school with them guys down there.
But anyway, as soon as I got looking, I know that picture, and then I realized that's 33 mile.
So you said they used that wood to put the camps on, like
all the
dunnage,
camps were on big timbers, all them ATCO units, because they were just ATCO units. They didn't have any undercarriage or nothing. They were all made out of wood. They didn't have a metal frame under them. They were really good units, those old ones. They're all built in Canada. Yeah. The ATCOs are.
And they're all over the state now.
Yep, everybody lives in them. Every crackhead's got one because they were free.
I was trying to figure out where that's at, but I'm trying to figure out what kind of tank that guy is hauling.
That's definitely a pressure vessel, the way it's built. It don't look like a propane tank, but it could be. It could be a mounted tank that they're going to take off somewhere, but, huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep trying to rack my brain, see where that's at.
That's a case of sliding down the hill backwards there, it looks like.
Yeah, it looked like he spun around, did a 180.
Yeah. That's the old thing that a lot of the young guys don't do is when they're, you got a hill coming up when you're about 8 miles away or so, I just put about 5 pounds of pressure on my brake and just let them ride until you can feel it start to drag, and then let them cool off. Maybe do that twice so you hit the hill with dry brakes.
Yeah, that's really important in case you spin out, right?
Yeah, because most of the time they go down the hill backwards, not because they're sliding, but because the brakes are iced up. And then by the time you get the brakes get enough warmed up, they're going too fast, and you ain't stopping anyway, so you might as well just poke her in the ditch and quit.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you think that's Wiseman out there, or do you think that's somewhere else?
No, that's Wiseman.
So it looks like they're out there on the river.
Yeah.
That might have been the first winter before they had the road in there, just running all the way up the river up to.
Yeah, that's definitely Wiseman, because you can. Let's see, that hill over there is where you go up and over right here down to that little place on the other side. What the heck's the name of it?
Nolan Creek?
Nolan Creek, yeah. You can recognize it because the road goes like right around through there and up over that hill.
Sorry, Nathan, I'm getting kind of
No.
distracted here.
That's fine. I'll just need your help finding the pictures later.
Well, I've been wanting somebody that knows where these are. I kind of like that picture.
Nolan Creek is a cool place. I really like it up there. You ever been back up to Nolan?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's nice. It's neat in there, isn't it?
Oh,
I could
that's
live. I could
awesome.
live up there, no problem at all.
I think that's an old man camp. Them guys when they were setting that camp up there.
Yeah, that's those Weaver brothers.
Yep.
Did your old man know the Johnson boys up there?
Wait, where?
Up at Old Man Camp, the Johnson
Oh
boys?
yeah. That's a nice area up there. Old Man, a lot of like by the Canute there, or down by the Canute River was good, and but yeah, that's I'm getting into his pictures here.
That's cool. They're coming out of Valdez.
Yeah. Well, we used to have to go through the tunnel back then, so if you had an ATCO shack on, you had to get your pilot car to get on the other side and stop any traffic, because you had to get right square in the middle to get an ATCO through the tunnel. And then a lot of times you couldn't quite make it, so you'd have to we'd dolly our trailer down and then unhook and slide forward just a little and then let it down and have the kingpin catch the cross member on the back of the frame so you could drop it another 1.5 feet. And
You talking about Whittier?
no, coming out of Valdez.
The tunnel?
Oh, we used to have to go through the tunnel before they put the road around it. And it just barely fit.
Can't tell if that's hard to tell. I think that's on the Yukon there. Isn't
That
it?
is, that's the Jack Black Ferry going into Dawson City.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I've been across that thing on the Jack Black a million times.
Huh. That's
They put that ferry's been in there. That particular ferry's been in there since the '60s. Yeah, I might have to jump up and use the bathroom here.
We'll take a break.
Sorry, I'm feeling kind of selfish here. Look at these pictures.
We can take a break real quick.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, the Jack Black Ferry. That was just make her happy.
Yeah. I like that hat.
Yeah, it's getting kind of ragged. It's my favorite hat, actually.
You probably had that hat for a long time, huh?
Yeah, it don't have much shape to it anymore. I really should grease it up or something to make it a little stiffer.
Put some oil on it or something.
It's kind of my rain hat too. I oil it to keep it for waterproof, so that really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about Dave Smallwood. He is always so funny. He's always playing jokes on everybody. Some people don't have any sense of frickin' humor, but it was fun. He got me with that dang. I think I told you before, but he got one of them cigarette loads in my. I used to smoke. I haven't had a cigarette in 27 years, but he got one of them exploding cigarette loads in my goddamn cigarette, and I never noticed it at Coldfoot. And I ate dinner and lit my cigarette, and everybody's sitting around there, and they were all smiling. So they were all in on it, the sons of bitches, you know. I was smoking away, and I had it just right here, and that fucker blew up. Boom! Oh, God, I think I laughed more than they did. I can't believe you assholes got me like that.
What's that? I can't remember if we asked Dave that or not.
But that was David. But he was always, you know, he started the thing. It got to be almost dangerous. But Dave started this shit. He bought big handfuls of bottle rockets, and he'd drive down the road and see somebody coming. He'd light them and shoot them at you going down the road. We'd be meeting each other. So pretty soon everybody's doing it, you know. So we see, oh, there's that fucking Dave. Come going, push, you know. So I got to say, I'm ratting Dave out there. He'll maybe own up to it or not one day, but
He'll appreciate it.
we went, I think it was me and Ray Cruz and somebody else. We were going the other way, and Dave starts shooting at us, and then all of a sudden there was a lull, and we went by. Well, that one bottle rocket got away from him, and it was going around inside the cab. We could see it. Boom, 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 and he's like this. So we got a little revenge. He admitted it to himself, though. But we was always doing that, you know. He did that, too, to John Sauer. It was funny, you know. John's, you know, he kind of drove fast. And so Dave, I don't remember if it was Dave or Ray or one of them guys. Anyway, they grabbed one of them state signs for the brush cutter, and they put it on the front of John's truck when he was sleeping. And he gets up and takes off down the road, and everybody's laughing and grinning at him, waving, you know. And he couldn't figure it out. Well, they put this sign on the front of John's truck that said "Caution, flying debris," because John usually didn't slow down when he met you. Well, he would, but he'd get down from 70 to 65. But yeah, that was funny, and everybody's laughing.
So that time when he put that in your cigarette, was that at the old Coldfoot, or was that when they had?
No, it was the newer place. I mean, it wasn't the same as it is right now, but it wasn't the old, you know, the old bus with the plywood shack.
Yeah, you guys were still in the main part of the building, though. You weren't
Yeah.
off in the post office, because now the truckers' table's in the post office area.
Oh yeah, no, we was in the main building. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they didn't want it. They don't want you in there with them tourists, but they don't seem to understand the tourists like being around us silly ass bastards anyway.
They like to hear the old stories.
Yeah, they do. Go out and entertain them. I had old Dick. I wish Dick was here. I'd still get him laughing. He got mad at me a couple times, but he couldn't find help, so he'd go downtown and pick up some fucking drunk and take him up to Coldfoot for being a cook, you know. And then he's got them captive for a week or so, but some of them could actually be a cook. But this one guy, he really irritated me. He cooked me a hot cake, you know, and this son of a bitch, you could hold it by the edge, and this thing's as big as a plate, and it'd stand straight out, you know. And I said to the waitress, "Hey, could you have him make me another hot cake?" "Yeah, that one." And then he started ranting and raving, so I pissed me off. I stood up and I winged that fucker like a frisbee, and it went right through the fucking window. And then he got lippy again, and I jumped up. I was going to kick that silly bastard's ass, and I must have looked like death because he hauled ass out the back door of the kitchen. I went through the kitchen, followed him around, and we went all the way across the parking lot out into the gravel pit. And he was really streaking. I couldn't catch him, and I'm a pretty good runner, so he must have thought I was going to kill him. But
Boy, talk about streaking. That makes me think of another question. You getting woke up in the middle of the night chasing somebody.
oh yeah, that fucking kid was. I sleep in my birthday suit because I go to bed, you know. Anyway, he was breaking into trucks in the parking lot at Big State, and I slept in my truck. I have a rule: if I can't be home by 10 o'clock, I just stay at the shop, sleep in my truck. Because you go home and you wake all the kids up, and then everybody's up, and you go to bed, you know, and then they're all grumpy, and the old lady's grumpy, and it's easier just sleep in the truck. But anyway, yeah, so I'm in I feel my truck rocking, and I was in my cab over, and he stood up on the thing, looked in the window, so I sat up and looked. He took off, and I just jumped up and fucking hair like this, and all I had on was my bunny boots, because I stuck my feet in my bunny boots, and I was bare ass naked chasing him across the fucking parking lot. It was about 25 below out.
Didn't you have your gun too?
Oh yeah, 45. Yeah.
What year was this?
Oh, I don't know. That would have been like 15, 16 years ago.
Oh, recent.
Yeah, not that long ago. I couldn't figure it out. I was telling him about them trucks because I got up and then I went and got dressed and I'm looking around and he'd been in all kinds of the trucks and the doors were open and looking for shit to steal, We had a real rash of them guys taking the battery box covers and all that shit because they're aluminum. They could sell them, for.
So you didn't catch this guy?
No, fuck, he was running, man. I was, of course, I probably had a piss hard on and I was wild looking. He probably didn't want me to catch him, probably afraid, but I tell you what, I was getting her pretty hard for bunny boots, but he was streaking, man. He had some extra help there. He must have been high on something.
There's on the notes here it says thief video. What's that all about, Aaron?
Well, I heard there might have been a
gas well, that's what I was getting to. I telling Brian about that, but them guys were all sitting around the computer laughing about something, and so we had cameras in the yard. Well, they caught me doing that, chasing that guy with in my birthday suit. Well, I was dressed. I had my bunny boots on, so that's close enough.
That video didn't get out there, did it?
Well, I don't know. Brian Evans and them guys were the ones that told me they were laughing because of it, I think. But,
I might have to call him, see if he's still got that video.
I mean, it would have just been on the company camera, so if they didn't, check it, save it on the computer, I don't know. But yeah, that guy he was really streaking. I was surprised. He headed back over across the way there, and I was hot on his trail, but I gave up.
Yeah.
Were they still stealing stuff later, or did they kind of give that up after?
I think they kind of give it up for a while. I mean, I don't know if they ever went back to it, but yeah, but they were, breaking into trucks and shit, looking in the jockey boxes. They stole people's toolboxes and taking the battery covers off, and we'd go down to I think either Brian or Ricky or one of them guys went down to CNR Pipe, and he had all the battery covers. Whoever was buying aluminum, they went to him and they got all the battery covers and shit back.
Wow, that worked out.
That worked out. I don't remember if they had to pay for them, but knowing Dennis, they probably did. Full price.
Well, now those guys are cutting off the catalytic converters off cars.
Oh yeah, I know, they're horrible.
But
have you seen that picture?
That looks like Arlo's truck.
Is that Arlo?
Well, he had an old corn binder like that, and yeah, that's what the beaver slide used to look like. Literally, I mean, I'm serious. He had an international look kind of like that. That's Alaska Pacific Transport leased to them because that's the only ones that did that. But yeah, the bumpers were dragging the ground, fuel tanks dragging. I mean, the shelf used to get like that. You had to stop at the bottom, put 2 sets of 3-railers on, and put it in first fucking gear and don't take it out, or you're going to leave your drive line. I remember Dale Cartwright once tried it in second gear, and he had to go to first, and his jack shaft did about 4 revolutions without the rear end turning.
Oh man!
And I helped him. It took us like 3 hours. We had to shovel a tunnel in from the back to get the stupid jack shaft out because it broke off on the back rear end, and so we could pull him backwards because it was trying to jam into the dirt. Mm-hmm. So we ended up having to, and it took us hours to shovel out from underneath that fucking truck and then cozy up in there in the mud and get that piece of shit off of there.
For new guys that are coming up there and driving, throwing chains, do you just leave it in one gear and go, or do you try to grab gears if you can? I mean, what? I guess it depends on weight, right?
I like to get in a gear that I can pull it easy with my foot backed out of it slightly, but I'm still up at high RPM, so I got room to play with, if you can back off if you're still slipping a little. And, yeah, just do that.
Like on the beaver slide when you spin out and then you throw a set on the front and
No, I don't try. I'll try to get it up. You can't pull if you can get out of first gear or double low, do that. But
yeah.
because you won't be going fast enough, and it'll keep doing this the whole way. You won't hook up.
Yeah.
You need to get it up in second or third gear if you can.
Yeah. What if you're loaded though? What's
Well, sometimes you can't. You got to go up the hill in low gear.
Yeah.
Because you can't shift fast enough. If you're quick hitting the jake in between, you might get it. But you can get it 1 out of 3 times maybe.
I gotcha.
Otherwise, you're starting over again.
So if you can on the beaver slide, grab some gears when
Yeah.
you're chained up. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you chain up your front axle, you'll do way better. I see these guys always chaining up their back axle because they don't like to take their fenders off in the wintertime, which is silly. But if you chain up the back axle, I don't give a fuck what you got in there, you're still one-wheel drive. And all you're going to do is spin and chew and dig all the way up the fucking hill. If you just put the chains on the front axle, it'll hook right up, chews up the road a little bit for the back axle, and it gets traction. You won't have to chain up all 4 of them. Back in the day when I started, we didn't have lockers, so if you spun out, you had to put all 4 chains on. Because the only one that would spin was the one that didn't have a chain on it.
Yeah.
And so it was no putting 1 on or 2 on or whatever. You put all 4 of them on.
Yeah. Earlier, before we started recording, you were talking about chaining up doubles, and what you said, you jackknifed the dolly or something?
No, I jackknifed the front trailer.
Oh, the front trailer. Okay.
I jackknifed the front trailer, and then I got until your trailer straightens out to pick up the load. So you're usually, like me coming out of Valdez now, I'm generally between 157 and 160. That's my gross weight, which you can start out straight ahead, but you tend to chunk and chew and dig and scratch for about 300-400 yards. And as long as you don't, get on the throttle, you'll do that without breaking your chains. But when you got that much weight on, you're going to break something. Break an axle, you're going to break something doing that. So I just back up a little bit and jackknife my front trailer after I get chained up, and then I start out, and then you don't pick up your load until everything comes straight.
Yeah.
So if you can get it into like second or even sometimes third gear, and as soon as you hit third, you're probably just about straight, and then just back out of it right to an idle to pick up your load. And as soon as you feel the load pick up, you just give it a little bit of gas at a time, and it'll take right off, keep going.
And you got 2 sets on when you're doing that?
No, just one usually.
Oh, just one? Okay.
If it's really bad, I'll have to put. It's pretty rare that I got to put 2 sets on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to. Mervin would always ask me about chaining up a lot. It was funny, but he said, "Well, when do you chain up?" I said, "When it quits moving." Well, don't you stop at the bottom? Well, I don't. I wait until it quits moving. I just do that because he get kind of tight, I love Mervin, but it was fun to tease him. He called me up one day, and I'm in my twin steer, and I got my 5-axle pup, and I was coming back from Dawson, and I like to rip down through the Jack Wade there because there's a bunch of switchbacks and shit. And he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "A 32-wheel drift," and he hung up. Because he wasn't sure if I was shitting him or not, because I might not have been.
It'd be fun to get Mervin on here. I guess him and Dad, they were back in there in Kantishna at one point on dozers, bringing mining equipment out one time. So
Yeah.
that would be a fun story to listen to.
Yeah, I went in there. I went with Old Irish, Martin King, Casey, and Mike's dad. We went in there one winter and hauled a whole bunch of shit in and out of Kantishna because you could only. And then in the fall we started going in there, but you could only go in and out at night. You had to go all the way in and all the way back before they opened the road in the morning, or you had to stay in, which, staying at the old Kantishna Lodge was privately owned and it was a mine. And but yeah, we hauled a lot of stuff in there. That was fun. Nice old road.
Were you ever around that big truck?
Oh yeah, that's old. What's his name?
Gene Rogie?
Yeah, Gene's truck. It was an old Kenworth, and he had it had 966 tires on it. It was a big old truck. That was a neat truck. I thought I was in love with that. Probably why I like Kenworth, but my dad was a Kenworth guy too. But yeah, Gene that was a nice truck. Yeah.
Wonder how practical that was. Did that work out really good for what he was doing?
Oh, absolutely. That thing was awesome. It was, and it was all-wheel drive too. The front wheel, it had a drive axle on the front. I had a, what were they? RDs had like 6 of those Freightliner cab overs with V12s, and they were 6-wheel drive.
Man,
They had front wheel drive on them.
Really?
They did good. I drove one of them. That thing did good. I really liked it.
Aaron's got a thing on here about a winch truck.
Oh, you were running a winch truck for a while.
Yep.
You got any cool stories with that?
Oh, yeah, I did all kinds of I ran Martin King's winch truck, and I pushed Doug Bourne all the time. Not Doug, it's a different Dougie, but he was Martin's lowboy driver, not Bourne. I can't remember what his name. His name was Doug anyway. He was pretty good, but anyway, I did a lot of that, and I went up there to pull a Frontier truck out of the ditch up at the bottom of Galbraith, because he missed the corner. You know how the corner goes and you head up the hill. Well, he got a little far out there, and he shot a load of 3-inch pipe out in the ditch. So there was 99 joints of fucking pipe, and that shit goes submarining in the snow. I mean, some of that shit was 300-400 feet off the road.
Oh, man.
It just gets to sliding in that snow. Anyway, I went up there to pick that up, and that was in the 80s, and that was the year we had all the snow all the way south. I mean, the road was one lane from, like, the Knob all the way to fucking Coldfoot. And there was places where you could get off, but, I mean, there was 5-6 feet of snow, and the road was closed. And anyway, I went up there to do that, and I got that all picked up, and I stood my poles up, and I was, picking them up in bundles, and I was in the Galbraith driveway, and then it was a Frontier truck, and he'd pull up there, and I'd back up and set them on. They came up with some logging bunks, so I'd set them in the logging bunks, because there ain't no way I can straighten all that out with a winch truck, but I would pick them all up, and I think we got all of them too, except one, but we found that one in the summertime, and it was like 400 yards off the fucking road. I mean, that thing must have been like a torpedo when it went out there. But
Did you retrieve that one that was way out there?
No, it stayed there. It's probably still there, growed up in the tundra. But we never retrieved it.
And that was on the Knob out there?
No, that one there was on the right when you start up the hill at Galbraith Lake.
Okay.
He missed that little corner at the bottom.
Oh, I got you.
Shot off that corner. Didn't hurt the truck much. I mean, it was deep snow, but I went out and got him up there, and then, and I picked all that shit up, and then we just squeaked back over the hill, and it blowed shut, and then I had to go back up again to get the pipe. I got the truck out, and then he went to town and got bunks and shit and came back. But anyway, I was at Coldfoot. But anyway, I had to go back up there, and we got that all picked up, and then it was really blowing, and all the trucks were stuck in the big drifts between the bottom of 117 and back, or Tulik and back this way. There was, them big drifts would get out there in the flats, and I went out there and pounded a hole through them with the winch truck and got some of them out of there, but I couldn't get to the other ones. I was getting stuck. It was getting too deep, and so they had to stay. But then we got back over the pass again, and they closed the pass again, and we got to Coldfoot. And I mean, I ended up staying up there for 3 frickin' weeks pulling people out of the ditch. Robbie Baker ran off the road and tipped his load of drilling mud over there on top of the Koyukuk. So I went up and skidded all that shit out, and I was getting really sick and tired of it, to be honest with you, because I don't have a bunk or nothing. So I just had my 60 below woods down sleeping bag, and I'd just roll her out on the deck, and I was sleeping outside at 40 below in my sleeping bag, but it was comfy.
You didn't get too cold, huh?
No, hell, I slept out in almost 60 below in that bag, and it'll actually keep you warm. That stupid thing weighs about 40 pounds.
Yeah.
But it is big sleeping bag. You can climb in it with your coveralls and your bunny boots on, too.
Oh, wow.
But, you know, I was getting kind of tired of that shit, sleeping outside. And then Doug tipped the fucking 245 over on the lowboy just north between Dietrich and Coldfoot. It slid off the road, and the 245 was laying on its side, so we stood it up, got the lowboy back up on the road, got it loaded, but the boom had been all the way up. And we couldn't get the boom to come down because it went over center, so he hauled it down to pump 5 with the boom sticking straight up in the fucking air. That son of a bitch was tall. And we thought, well, we could crack a line, you know. And I said, well, that's not a good idea because all the hydraulics oil is going to come out, and that motherfucker's going to come down in a rush. So apparently, I didn't know this at the time, but there's a little valve that you can release that pressure to let that back over center and let it back down. Normally, but when it was laying down on its side, and it, you know, it wasn't just to stand it up, it was 40 fucking blowout. We had to, you know, get heaters out there, get everything fucking running, because, you know, drain the oil out of the cylinders and the air, take the turbo off, and, you know, get it all so you didn't ruin it to start it back up again. Same with the truck. And but we got all that going.
You're talking about Robbie Baker, and that made me think of Baker's Knob, but what was that named after his brother, or do you?
No, I don't know why they called that Baker's Knob. I think because everybody liked camping out there because you could always get out of the wind there. You know, when it was windy on Finger and all that, it was always calm there at Baker's. So everybody would just pull into Baker's and wait for the wind to quit blowing, because as soon as you could go down there, about 2 or 3 miles, as soon as you get to the edge of the tree line, and you're in the wind. And you know how it howls up there. I mean, I've been over Finger where you're on the wrong side of the road with your head out the door and you can just barely see the ditch straight fucking down. And you're like in first gear at a dead idle. You know, it takes you 2 hours to get off the Finger Mountain. And you didn't have to worry. When the wind's blowing hard, you don't have to worry about drifts because it don't drift. The wind blows them away. So it's howling. You can't see, but you're not drifted, you know. When the wind slows down to about 30 miles an hour, then it makes really big drifts.
Yeah.
But
that makes me think of this truck. It's like, did he hit a drift?
Yeah, he hit something.
You probably don't. Do you recognize that truck?
I think I do.
Huh. He hit something hard.
Peterbilt's, the old cab overs had an issue with the tire rods falling off. But it always fell off on the passenger side, so you could still steer one wheel. So you could usually get stopped and wire it back up. The other thing they did, Ron Lawrence could tell you this one because this was him. I'll rat him out there, but his old cab over Pete he had when he was still an owner-operator, I seen him coming down the road, and he's all over the road, right? And he came to a stop, and I'm, what the hell are you doing, Ron? I stopped. He was holding the steering column between his knees because the little bracket that holds it to the dash broke. And so he was trying to get stopped holding the steering wheel between his legs, the column, because it was going around in the cab. He got it stopped and fixed it. But they had a band clamp that went around that thing that would break once in a while, and the steering column would fall down.
It wasn't strong enough, was it?
No, well, it just looked like a hose clamp to me. And that's what it got back on there when he got her done. He just put a hose clamp on it. But
you've got on this list, it says John Lawrence, team driver.
Oh, John? Yeah. Yeah, him and I would go get groceries. What the hell was the name of that? What's that restaurant over there? Geraldo's. He would haul his own groceries. He sold groceries up here. And we would go to Seattle's and load there at Charlie's Produce, which is right below the Kingdome before they tore the Kingdome down. But yeah, I liked running with John. We were hauled ass. We'd leave here and we'd be sitting at Charlie's in Seattle in 48 hours or less.
What company were you guys driving for at that time?
Well, no, it wasn't a company. It was just Geraldo's, the restaurant over there. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
So he bought a Peterbilt, and John was hauling for him. And a few trips I worked with him because he wanted to go on vacation. So I did a few trips with him, and then took over for him while he went off for a while. And that was just fun, running the Cassiar in the wintertime. And
I heard that's a pretty rough highway.
It is. It could be. They get lots of snow. You get south of Dease Lake and it starts getting really heavy, and then by the time you drop off the barrage there, that it gets really deep down at from Bell 2 down to past Mesiodon Junction, about halfway to Kitwanga. The road, the snow gets really deep. The road would be down to 1 lane wide in the wintertime, and they would hire every logger with a cat, and they'd be out there pushing the road back because they couldn't plow the snow anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I woke up at Bell 2 Lodge one day, and I mean, it was a nice clear night, and I pulled in there because the old guy that owned it was a really neat, nice old guy. I went to sleep, and I must have slept 10 hours, you know, and I was tired. And I woke up, and I couldn't see out of my truck. I mean, the snow was up over my windows. It snowed that much overnight.
Oh, man.
And so I unrolled my window. I've done that twice. That's happened to me in my life. I learned you shouldn't sleep up on the mountain passes in the wintertime. But but anyway, I dug my way out a little bit, and then I stood up on the window and looked out, and he was over there at the lodge. He said, "Oh, there you are." He says, I'll blow a path over to you, and he dug me a trail and went in there. And I mean, you ain't going nowhere because the highway's got just as much snow. It took 3 days to plow it out.
So he just saw you pop up out
Yeah,
of the snow?
no, he knew I was out in the parking lot because he'd seen me pull in there last night. And he said, "Well, there you are, so I'll come out and get you." Yeah, that was funny. I did that too on top of the pass going into Haines Junction, or Haines, Alaska. I was stopped up on top, and it was like 20 below up there and clear as the bell. There wasn't a cloud for 1,000 miles, and I went to bed, you know, cranked it up, and like I woke up and the snow was right about even with the window on my door on my cab over. And yeah, I sat there for a day and a half watching the snowblower come up the hill. He was blowing snow. Took him quite a while. He dug me out, but it was about, I was there about 20 some hours before it got dug out.
So you shouldn't sleep on the pass like that, huh?
Well, no, yeah, you got to get somewhere where you don't have to, where they, you know, the plow has to come all the way out of Blanchard, so he come from behind, and then he has to go down the hill to Customs, which is, you know, from where I was sitting is about, I was on right on the summit, so you have to go down through another dip and then back up and drop off the top. So he had to, you know, go do all that, so there was no point in getting going until he got done because I couldn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. That makes me think you're talking about the winch truck. That's probably nothing special there, but
Oh, that's yeah.
I don't know. That's an old Kodiak
Yeah,
winch
no,
truck.
that's what they had at the Yukon River for a wrecker forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was an old Kodiak truck. What is that truck number? I wonder if that's. That might be my old truck. I bought one of them from Sourdough when I worked there. I think you have a picture of it. I was on top of the pass, I think, with either a tanker or a load of pipe on.
Oh, yeah, you got those.
Yeah, they're on here somewhere.
I fixed that one up. I put 2 lift axles on it, and I put a 9 and a 4 in it. And that was a good truck. Had an 892, 475 horse, the last of the Silvers.
So when you were team driving with John Lawrence, was that hard for you to learn how to sleep while the truck was moving, or did you just...
No, I slept good with John because he was a good driver, and I trusted him a lot. You know, I've drove with other people, and the only 2 times I did it, I woke up upside down in the fucking sleeper.
Now, are you sleeping in your birthday suit when you're doing this? Or?
Usually, yeah, I don't... I can't sleep with my clothes on. If I want to stay awake, if I want to get up in an hour or so, I sleep with my clothes on because that's about all I can do with my clothes on.
So you were telling us last time that I can't remember who it was, but the truck flipped over. You woke up and the sleeper was filling up with snow.
Oh, it was an Aerodyne Kenworth, and we tipped all the way over, and the top windows come out of the Aerodyne bunk, and it just scooped that fucking sleeper right full. I'm in there like this, all packed in with fucking
That must have been
snow
pretty
and
cold,
shit.
huh?
Well, I was still in my blanket, but I got it really packed me in there. That goddamn shit it packed, you know.
Yeah.
Like avalanche snow, so it kind of packed me in there pretty tight and had to dig me out a little bit so I could get moving. I couldn't do anything. I was like stuck.
Yeah.
And then the other time I tipped over with somebody driving, it was I woke up and I would just stand. We laying on our side. I was just standing on the end of the sleeper when I woke up. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
So you didn't care after the first time you wrecked like that in the sleeper? You weren't scared about sleeping in the sleeper again, or?
Nah, well, the way I look at it, people think because they're not used to riding when somebody drives exactly like they do, but they think you're going too fast. But it's like I always say, they got the same ass to lose as you do.
Yeah.
Shit happens. Yeah. I mean, you're half asleep when you shouldn't be, and you come ripping into a corner, and you're like that's how the oh shit corner got its name.
Yeah.
It was like, oh fuck, damn, that corner gets tighter and tighter as it goes downhill. That's what screws everybody.
Yeah.
Because when you go into it, it gets a little tighter. It was okay going into it that fast at the top. When you're halfway around it, you're like, fuck, I'm going way too fast.
Have you ever been off the ditch there?
No.
Oh, okay. Have you ever been off the haul road before?
Oh yeah, I would on Tulik. I thought I was king shit, man. My first 600K model. I was, fuck, I could run anything. Ha, 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 yeah, right. All that horsepower does is just get you farther up the fucking hill before you fuck up so you can slide backwards twice as far. That's what that shit's all about.
So you slid backwards off the road?
Oh, yeah, I was trying to. I was trying to get it in the ditch. I was whooping backwards, man. I mean, I went all the way. I could see the fucking pull-off on the top of Tulik. And when I spun out, and I was still going 30 miles an hour, and I spun out, and by the time I got my clutch to the floor, I was already sliding backwards. Man. And I was trying to get that trailer in the ditch to stop it, and it would not go. I went down the road with the trailer on one side and the truck on the other and just sliding down the hill. I finally got it in the frickin' ditch, way down at the bottom, and I was leaned over like this, had a load of pipe on, and I thought, God dang it. And so I got out and I shoveled myself out. I put 2 sets of 3 railers on, all laid over in the ditch, and then I kept moving a little bit so it didn't get hung up. And pretty soon here come, you hadn't seen a truck in 5 hours, and in 5 minutes there's like 20 trucks on top and about 15 on them. What are you doing down there, Buzz? Ha, ha, ha. Pretty soon here come old Big John. I don't know if you guys remember Big John Bivens.
No, I heard about him, seen pictures.
Oh, he was a great guy, but he comes up there and he's had a gravelly whiskey voice. What are you doing there, son? He says. He always talked like that. I got a chain sitting here, John. You want to pull me out? And yeah, he pulled up there and he threw his head on and jerked me out of there. And I made it. I said, once you start moving, don't stop because I'm on an angle like this. If you slow down, I'm going to tip over. And we started out of there, and I just mashed it to the fucking wood, and we just out of there we came until I was sitting flat. But that was a horrible night.
Was it warm when that happened?
Oh, it was like 40 below at Coldfoot, and it was 10 below on the south side of the pass, and it was about 0 on top. And when you're down to about the pipe crossing, it was about 20 above, and at the bottom it was 40 degrees and fucking raining. And it was that way all the way to Prudhoe, and this was February.
Okay.
And it was so freaking slick out there. And, I mean, it took us from, like, the bottom of Adigan to Prudhoe about 12 hours one way.
Wow.
We were chained up. We had front wheels chained up, drivers chained up. Everything was chained up. It was a horrible night. It was just absolutely freaking greasy slick, and you couldn't even stop. If you slowed down below like 15 miles an hour, you just slid off the road with your chains on, because, I mean, the crown of the road would just take your head off. People don't understand that. They say, well, why didn't you stop and chain up? Well, I can't. Slow down. You try to straddle the crown, and if you get it just perfect and sit there for a minute, you might get out and get another chain on, another. Holy Christ. And then we slid, 3 of us slid together at the Adigan camp. On the way back, we stopped. We were going to chain up some extra chains and for going back up over the pass southbound and stopped. And then I couldn't stop, so I pulled up alongside, and then I slid up Tom, and then when somebody else slid into me, so we're all three side by side in the parking lot touching each other. And we're like, fuck. So we had to get underneath the truck, and get a single on the inside tires so we could get apart without tearing too much shit up. And then we got doing that. That took us hours. We get all untangled, and then finally we were wore the fuck out. We just said, hell with this shit. And we just got stretched out there and went to bed. And then tried it again in the morning. And as soon as you got over the hill, went right back to being below zero again.
Oh, man.
But it's slick out when old Andy Anderson had a hard time. He was old Linden. He had an old Jimmy Wicken actually ended up with his old Peterbilt and drove it for years, that old maroon Peterbilt cab over. But before that, he had a drum box on his truck, a longer truck, and I think that was Andy Anderson's old truck. Anyway, he come off the hill there when we were on our way back, and Andy, he was the night guy, like Shanky John, them guys just did the race up there with the LTL every night.
Yeah.
And he come down the hill and he hit that warm air, and he lost her. He swapped around and hit the bank so fucking hard it shit the drum box off. It didn't fuck his truck up, but he hit it hard and just stopped. Hit the snowbank and it just stopped. And
yeah.
The drum box came off, and that was a long night for Andy. But man, you could set your clock by him. He was like a watch, that guy. Every night, just the switch the same. Up to, well, I don't say a switch. He just did the LTL 4 trips or 3 trips a week. I can't remember, but
yeah. So you knew where you were going to meet him.
Oh yeah, you knew right. If you just knew what day it was, you knew where you were going to meet Andy.
Yeah.
And Shanky John he was an owner operator at first, but he always had a cab over Pete when he was younger. And we all liked cab overs. Back in the day, the cab over was the only warm truck, and they all had sleepers on them, which when half the trucks didn't. So you get tired of sleeping in a narrow cab Kenworth with your feet. You put your winter boots on and you unroll the window and stick your feet out the fucking window so you could lay down and get a little to sleep and pile all your shit in between the seats.
Probably kind of hard to work on those cab overs when the wind's blowing, huh?
No, actually they go up pretty good. Yeah, they don't like it. Not like trying to get a hood up on a regular truck. You got to have 2 monkeys on each side to help hold the hood when you lift it up and the wind's blowing.
Yeah.
I've seen them coming home on the trailer before with no headlights, so you got to drive during the daylight. Dave Evans was good for that, but his was usually hitting the drifts about 85 and blew his hood off, or a big mud puddle.
Oh man!
But he took it with good grace. When you meet Dave, I'm like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, hauling ass for home. They got to get home before dark." And I looked at him, and here he comes, and got no hood, and it's on the back of his trailer, strapped down, going like a motherfucker. See you, Dave. I was running for the ice cut one day, and I thought, well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm running along about 75, That's good. I can smoke the hill at 75. It's weird. The ice cut, if you're 70, you're going to be in 3rd gear. If you hit it about 75, you can do high-sided.
Yep.
But there's a close. Anyway, so I was doing about 75, and it's dustier and shit and dust cloud. My radio says, "Hey, can I come by you?" I'm like, "Yeah, Dave." He went by me just going like that's how he drove. He's a really good
That's
driver.
not an exaggeration, is it?
Not at all with David, no. But David's a very good driver, period. And he's a guy I would ride in a sleeper with anytime when he's doing 80 miles an hour. But yeah, I was doing 70, and he's in the dust, and he's back there in my cloud, And I never backed out of it either, because I figured, fuck, why do that? But
So you didn't get sacked on the hill, just on the bottom.
no, we were on the flats, going like some bitch for the hill. We were almost there. I swapped ends in the ice cut once unintentionally. I went up there and spun out, and down the hill I came, and I hit the trailer, bumped the ditch, and it fucking flopped me around, and I'm like pointing downhill, and I'm like, cool. Stuck it in 4th gear and mashed it and bailed right back down the hill. I never got in the ditch. got down there to the old grader shack, turned around, put my trailer chains on, and went back up the fucking hill again. I mean, they used to had a garage at the bottom, and they kept a 16G grader in there because the ice cut used to be a lot steeper than it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were empty, you could not get up that hill empty. You would spin out because you just couldn't pull it. And the 16G just had a great big old block on the front, and when he'd come in there, the guy was stationed there. He'd sit there all day long and just push everybody up a hill.
Yeah, we got pictures of that dozer in there. They were pulling guys up there. And actually, last time we talked to Dave Smallwood, he said he had a story where the kid hooked up to the bumper, and he pulled the bumper off, and Dave was just sitting there in the hill going backwards or whatever.
Yeah, no, and that's a stupid thing there. They weren't going to put the road up there. And we had a bunch of bunny-hugging greenies from America, and there was one fucking peregrine falcon nesting on the hill. So they went that way. If you sit there at the bottom of the ice cut, you can look down there, you're looking right at Pump 2 on the flat ground. The road was going to go right down the river, right to Pump 2, with not a hill one between. And we went up over all them frickin' little hills because of a stupid peregrine falcon that nested there for one goddamn year. Across the river, no less.
Wow.
So that's why the road went that way, and that's the only reason.
But it kind of drifts over that way, too.
Oh, it drifts a lot, and then you got lots of little whoop-de-doo hills that get you. There's that one little dip that you go across there. That thing will get a snowdrift that's about 6 feet deep and about 300 feet long.
Yeah.
And you ain't getting through it, you know. We've done the old push-pull thing. We get like 3 of us hooked together. Whoever's got the best bumper goes out there until you get stuck. The next guy pulls you back, and you just keep pounding your way through there. And by the time you got like 3 trucks hooked in there before you can get enough of you to get all the way through to pull yourself back, take the last run at it. And you stay hooked up because once you get through, then you can get traction. So you're pulling the other 2 guys, and everybody's going through there. Of course, that really fucks it up for the next guys because then it makes the drifts get really fucking hard and big and chunky, and after that, nobody's getting through there. But it was fun.
I'm out of pictures that I want to see on there.
You
There's
want-
a bunch more pictures on the computer, but we can do that
You want to
later.
look at this list, or we got talking about the Lawrence boys at Alaska West.
Yeah, they're back then, all them guys were at Alaska West, weren't they?
Yeah, they all did. John and his other, I can't remember what his other brother, the oldest brother was. Ron is the youngest, and then John, and then his older brother. They all worked there. The other 2 boys drove Western Stars that this guy bought like 4 or 5 of them, and each one of them were driving one of them, except Ron. Ron had his own truck, but then he went and became a company driver. And Ron drove the super trucks for years with the flatbeds on them. Those were, Lyndon had them too, the super trucks. So they were cab over Freightliners, 5 axles with a flatbed and then a pup, and they'd haul all kinds of shit. They set them up where they had a bunk in them that pivoted, like a log bunk.
Yeah.
And they'd haul pipe on them, and they'd haul Atco shacks, you just set them on the bunk and haul an Atco shack with a truck and pup. Worked good. They were nice because they were like having a pipe dolly, you just stack your back trailer and haul ass for a house.
No.
That would be nice. Do you remember Tim Anderson was telling us one time he was broke down over there by Toke, and he said you pushed him all the way to Delta. Do you remember doing that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. I pushed him. I push him fast, too. You better have your fucking big girl's panties on because I'm going to push you at 70 miles a fucking hour.
Oh,
No sense in wasting around.
So you pushed him 100 miles or so?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember what he lost a fuel pump or something, or I don't know what happened.
Well, his truck would still run, but it wouldn't pull a sick whore off a piss pot, so it had a turbo problem or some damn thing. I don't remember what happened, but it would idle, so he had steering, so I just pushed him. Went
Yeah.
really fast.
No big deal, though, right?
No, that's fun. I love pushing. I like pushing lowboys more than I like driving the lowboy because it's way fun.
Oh, that's what we never. Yeah, you gave me a few pictures of your some of your lowboy work and stuff like that, but you did that for quite a while too.
Yeah, I did that for about 20 years, actually. That was my main gig. I did other things, but that was what I liked to do. I still like it.
Yeah, that's some fun stuff.
It's just, a lot of fun doing that crap. And I really like pushing. It's fun. I like pushing when you got a good lowboy driver in front of you. If they're not, then I want to switch with them. But it's fun to push.
Yeah, it's kind of challenging to do that.
So, like, when you're doing this, pushing these low boys or even hauling, like, heavy with the low boy, and you're chained up and you're going through the taps, are you just kind of putzing along
No,
through
fuck
these
no.
dips?
I never get any more than a foot off the bumper because you can't play catch up when you're pushing.
Yeah.
Because you'll leave your guy sitting in the middle of the hill, and then let me tell you what, it's a serious operation to get that fucker moving again.
Yeah.
So, there ain't no playing catch up. You want to be right there. We used to stick big antennas up there and tie flags on them because you can't find them in the dust, because they're so dusty. And I'd be wearing my fucking painting mask with the thing and the canisters and shit to keep the dust out. Probably look like a zombie alien or something back there.
But would you guys roll through, let your momentum
Oh,
carry
hell
you
yeah.
through the dips and stuff like that?
Me and Doug would, because we were pretty tuned up with each other. And we would go down through there at 60, 65 miles an hour with like a 245 on, and I'd have him hooked up at 50 miles an hour pushing.
Yeah.
We'd go like north of the river, going through all them whoop-de-doo shit. We'd go. Old Mason Kelly tried to catch us one night, and he couldn't catch us coming south empty. We made it from Coldfoot because we were in a serious hurry, man. I was pushing hard, and Doug was on it, that old 3408. I'm watching his stacks because I can tell when I needed to push because I could see him shift and big cloud of black smoke come out.
Yeah.
And then I'd get on it, and then we'd get after it. But, I mean, we made it from Coldfoot to the hilltop in 8 hours and about 40 minutes with a 245 on. That's pretty good. Because that we were probably 170,000, 100 somewhere in there.
Now, were you guys chained up too, or no?
No, we never chained up.
Yeah.
We didn't on that trip anyway. That was a summertime trip, that one. But
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
You bring that mic just a little closer to you. There you go.
Yeah, the winch truck. My winch truck I had big tires on it. Those chains on that, I didn't like to chain it up, and when I did chain it up, I left them on for a while because they were big. They weighed about 300 pounds a set, a piece, for a set of 3-railers.
Yeah.
So you struggled to get them up there and on, but they were big old chains. I mean, you could dig a hole to frickin' China with them things. I could sit there and dig a fucking trench that would piss everybody off for a month up the hill, but we never quit moving. But the other thing is, you got to, like I said, we're back to that trust in your lowboy driver, because when you're hooked up, you're part of the unit. So however long you are, if he's cutting the corner, you're down in the ditch pushing. Because if you stay pushing on him, you're just the trailer just became that much longer. And I usually had a float on with the parts for extra weight. So, you're stretched right out there 250 feet long or whatever. So you got to trust the guy in front because he's keeping you on the road. Because if he wants to get pushed, he's got to keep you on the road. So
Yeah.
I don't mind driving out in the ditch, but some of the ditches you can't. So
The road's raised up now in a lot of spots. So
yeah, they actually ruined the road doing that. I don't know why they thought that was a better idea, because they think it doesn't drift, but it actually drifts worse.
Yeah.
When the road was low, flat down, the wind just blew across it pretty good, and it would drift on one side or the other, but not in the road. But since they raised the road up, the wind, it kicks it up, and then it slows it down, and it drops about half the snow right in the road as it goes on over. And it makes pretty big drifts doing that.
What was the last time you came up to Prudhoe?
Oh, it's been a couple of years now. I sneak up there. I like to stop at Coldfoot because it's funny, all the new young guys, they treat me like I'm a first-timer, so I listened. I like listening to them, telling me all about everything. Yeah, that's always fun.
You just keep it quiet?
Oh, I don't say none. They don't know who I am.
Well, they might after this.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
So that those pictures you sent me, I think that's moving that 88B around.
Yeah, that's a 88B Bucyrus dragline. Yeah, I used to move it in one piece. Everybody else always wanted to take it off, take the car body off and haul it separate. But it takes about 14 loads when you do it that way.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy. I got the gantry down, the counterweight's off, and the boom's off, but it still weighs 200. I think it's 256,000 with that shit on, just the crane. So it's 24 feet wide and 21 feet high.
Oh, it is that wide, huh?
Yeah, it's 24 feet wide. I just load it on their crossways because there ain't no other way to get it on there, and that's with the tracks on those extend out there because it's got. So I mean that's shortened up, but they still won't fit. I mean you can put it on a 10 wide lowboy and use the lowboy like a rail trailer.
Yeah.
I mean if you want to, but it's a lot of extra work to do that because those old tracks are a lot different. They're hard to. You know, a lot of guys chain them up. I never chain them up. I carry like a 3-inch pin and a 2-inch pin and a 1-inch pin. I just stick it on the sprocket and run it around until it sucks the track up tight, you know. And then if you want, you can put a short chain on it to hold the middle up. But it sucks all the slack out of the track so the tracks aren't dragging the ground. But
So I got a question here, unless you got something. So over the years, you've seen that road change so much. What do you think you prefer, gravel or the chip seal?
Oh, gravel's way better.
Yeah.
The road stays better. You chain up a lot less, and you can fix the road. You know, those guys, they think it saves on maintenance, but I think it takes them about twice as much maintenance to do the chip seal. Chinese asphalt, as I call it.
Would it be better if it was paved?
No, it's not the kind of ground. I mean, you could pave it up through the river valleys because it would stay good, but the rest of it would look, you know, like it does down at Sourdough, you know. Yeah. It's going to hump up, period, because it's all full of ice lenses. If you leave it gravel, like we used to do, it would be just gravel, and they'd put calcium on it, and you know if you know how to put calcium down, it lasts all summer. There's no dust, and all you got to do is go out once or twice a month and blade it up. You just need a water truck, a packer, and a fucking good blader operator. You can do that whole road and keep it just like this tabletop.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is getting out there and doing it. That's the real problem.
What about like right now on the Beaver Slide when it just won't quit raining?
Well, it's not the Beaver Slide's fault. It's the idiots keep getting. There's a pit down there that's close, and they keep putting material on it, but it's all clay. Oh. And they did that. The last time they did that, they ended up having to go down there with a blade and scrape it all off to the side and get back down to the gravel. It's just shitty material.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it turns into like it is. And if they would just, you know, haul it from a little farther away, they could put some good gravel on there.
Well, I've heard Dad tell me back before they dug it up and put a bunch of culverts there, it didn't used to hump like it did. I don't know if that's the case.
They didn't need culverts. The water run down the inside of the road. It's all steep. I mean, it's on a side hill, so the road just goes along the side hill, but it's downhill.
Yeah.
It don't need all that shit. All they need to do is just, you know, it'll drain right down the side of the road. It has nothing to do with that. The water has never been an issue except in the rain. And they keep getting that material out of that one pit because it's close. And it's junk material. When it gets wet, it's just like clay. It just turns to slime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
slime
like
now.
that one picture you showed me with the International. That's what it used to look like every time. If it rained for 2 days in a row, it was going to look just like that.
Yeah.
Well, we got pictures too. Was that the same picture just north of Baker's there, where it was?
Yeah, that's the picture.
That's the picture. Yeah. What Dad said, he went down there with a blade and pushed that stuff off one time. Wasn't supposed to, but.
Well, I got so mad at there was a while when the state wouldn't do jack shit, and you'd be driving to Prudhoe for weeks on end, and you're in second and third gear because the road's so rough, and the grader's just sitting there. Well, one night I said, fuck it. I got out and fired up the grader because I got my own cat key, and I graded up about 10 miles of road until it ran out of fucking fuel. They got all bent. I don't care. Made that section of road smooth anyway. They just sit there at camp and not do a damn thing. Well, we got to do this. Well, no, you have to get off your damn ass and go do it. You can't just sit there and camp and wish about it.
Yeah.
The problem is you're getting paid to sit there. If you'd only got paid for the work you did, maybe you'd be out there on the road doing something. And be honest with you.
So did you end up walking back to your truck 10 miles?
I just
okay. Put your thumb out?
put my thumb out, and whoever came by doing 80 because the road was good, picked me up and gave me right back to my truck.
Oh,
I left their stupid grader out of fuel, too.
Well,
You can't do that. Well, why can't I? I own about 5 of them state graders. Much as the fuel tax I've paid over the years, I probably am the proud owner of at least 5 nice big cat graders. And that taxes that you're stealing from me is supposed to be paying your dumb ass to fix this road.
yeah.
I'm opinionated. You can't tell, right?
Well, we were trying to wind you up just a little bit there, but I think it worked.
Yeah. I did that down here on the highway by my house because
What?
they closed the stupid Birch Lake maintenance station, and the school buses couldn't get up the hill like on Woodchopper and that. And they got all kinds of, they were going to take me to court because I went down there with my own personal grader and graded the fucking hill so the school bus could get up
Wow,
Oh, really?
on the highway. And they would have to wait because of, so there's like 6 people that live in Salcha, where I'm from, that work for the state, but they can't work at Birch Lake because they don't have seniority. So they wait for some idiot in town who has seniority to decide he's got time to go out there and do that shit, which is mentally challenged. Well, especially when those guys that live out there have to drive all the way to town to go to work. And they could just go right down the street, and they live there, so they got shit in the game. It's their kids going to the damn school.
Oh, man.
Get me wound up.
I just got 2 more things on my list, but I was the Buzby family dairy. That's you kind of talked about it the first time, but you were talking about that all your milk bottles and different things.
Well, that
like
was so weird, man. We threw them away, and because we just had tons of them, and we thought years later we should maybe have 1 or 2 of them, and my brother and I did, and he found a few, but they were like $1,000 a piece, and I'm like, wait, fuck, we threw a whole garage full of them things away.
And that dairy was back from the early 1900s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's where Fort Wainwright is. That used to be our dairy farm,
Yeah.
my great grandpa's.
That had to be a lot of work back then.
Yeah, I got pictures of my grandpa about that big, and he's out there on the hay wagon. They'd do it by hand and fork it up on the wagon. That's why the Army wanted that place in World War II, is because it had been clear for 20 years and it was all dried up and good, and they wanted to build an airstrip. So otherwise it was either that or swampy ground, so.
I wonder why didn't they use this Phillips Field? Wasn't that a military airstrip at one point?
No, not Phillips. I don't know. I don't think that was even a strip back then. They still had the the old original airstrip, which is right there where Airport Road goes. You know where the library sits?
Yeah.
That's the old airstrip right down through that area. That's the one the old bush pilots used.
Oh, really?
But that was all out in the woods. I mean, my great grandma lived over there, kind of behind where Jeans Chrysler, the original Jeans Chrysler, was. Her old house is still back in there. But that was like when they built that place. That was like 6-7 miles out of town. Right there. So it was a lot different back then. But
That's crazy to think, but I guess everything originated from the river back then.
yeah, everything was right around the river. And yeah, everybody was used to it flooded every spring, and they had 2 wood bridges actually across the Chena, and they washed out every fucking year almost.
Oh, wow.
They had to rebuild them again, just made out of logs. They were good bridges. They're pretty cool looking. They got pictures of all that shit up at the university. They got tens of thousands of pictures from
I've seen the old pictures where they used to have all these ducks they'd shoot, right there downtown Fairbanks,
Yep. Yeah. Well, the Chena it's a productive river. It's got a lot of fish in it. It's got wildlife and moose and, everything. Caribou used to be around here. We used to have caribou around here.
Really?
But they changed their migration habits. But, yeah, they used to be around here, too.
That's funny. The last thing on my list is the father-daughter interview.
Oh? Oh, she just landed in Scotland this morning, but
Wow.
for 2 weeks. Her and my family's from there. I'm 73% Scottish when I did one of them DNA tests, but
Yeah, I think Nathan was giving her a hard time about it or something like that. But
Yeah, I was asking her, are you going to come on and do the father-daughter podcast? And she says, I think that would cancel your show.
yeah. Well, she was a hoot. She was my girl that liked to go everywhere. Her and I didn't bring any pictures like that, but we don't do it anymore, but we used to, every spring we'd go on a winter camping trip. So we'd go camp out for 3 or 4 days on the snow machines. We just bring our wall tent and camp out and have fun. But she liked to go do that shit.
Yeah.
So she's a
Nice
really, really smart girl, though.
Yeah, it's nice to get out and do stuff. She went flying with you, too, didn't she?
Oh, yeah, she'd been flying with me since she was little,
Yeah.
tiny. Yeah, we did all kinds of shit. And she'd been everywhere in a truck, too, I think, with me. Airplane. Lots of time in the airplane. She loves going out to our hunting camp, so.
You still have a plane?
I just sold my T-Craft, but I'm looking at getting something else. My brother has a really nice Helio, so. And I got a couple of the neighbor kids that I taught to fly that I borrow their airplane when I want to go. So if I don't want to do my own.
Yeah. Kind of nice just to go hop in the airplane and just take off out there.
I
right?
do, yeah. I like to get out of here sometimes and get tired of the noise and go sit there. And I just sit on my porch of the cabin and watch the creek go by. Everybody thinks that's weird, but I like doing it. Reading a book. Got a cup of coffee and a book and watching the creek go by.
Yeah.
That's a good occupation for a couple of days. I can only stand that for about 2 days of sitting on my ass, and I got to go do something. But
Yeah. You got all the birds and the squirrels coming up to you. And
no, I shoot them cocksuckers. Goddamn squirrels get in there. They can tear up a cabin worse than a frickin' bear
Oh,
if you let them in there.
yeah.
I mean, seriously, I like to eat nuts, so I had this like 20-pound bag of frickin' almonds. And then I come back out there in the winter on my snow machine, and them fucking squirrels had got that bag of almonds. And I'm like, there ain't an almond here. That thing was full, right? So I'm looking around, and I had to go get a roll of toilet paper for the outhouse, and I got my little container open, and I'm looking. Well, them little sons of bitches had they had to pack them 70, 80 yards, one at a time or 6 at a time. They packed them into the center of every fucking toilet paper roll and paper towel roll. And I mean, they had them in there packed. I had to get sticks and push them out. I couldn't
Out of
get
the
them
outhouse, they had them out there?
Yeah, they
And the
took them
toilet
out of the
paper
house,
rolls?
hauled them all the way over to the shed, and put them all in the paper towel rolls in the center and stored them.
They stole your nuts.
They did, just like the goofy asshole on Over the Hedge. I found my nuts, he says. Yeah, that was me. I found my nuts.
You ever have the bears come and try to
Oh,
mess
yeah.
with you when you were out there?
They tore our place up really bad one time, but yeah, I've had a time or two. I had pulling up the trap with my grandpa in the spring. We went, we had one that on a moose kill that the wolves had killed a moose, but then the overflow come in and covered up the trap, and we won't leave them out. So when it melted out of the ice, we went back out to get them picked up,
Yeah.
And the bears were out already, and we had a grizzly was on what was left of that moose kill, and he come charging up the bank and whipped her 30-06, didn't even have time to aim, just slapped her on the hip and squeezed her off and got him right in the head at about 10 feet.
Oh, man.
Boom. And it didn't go through, but he was looking up and it bounced off the top because his head was on such an angle, so it really hit it shallow. But when he skinned it out, it shattered his skull into about 10,000 pieces, the concussion of it.
Wow. Just dropped it just like that.
Right there on the spot, yeah. But, man, he was pissed off. He thought we were after that dead moose, and he just got, he had to have just gotten up, so. That was like close. That one was pretty close. That was like no time to aim, just boom. And Lucky even had the rifle, because normally that time of year I wouldn't have even had one.
Yeah, it can happen so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've shot a couple of short range that I don't like really shooting bears. I kind of find it a waste of time, but I've had a couple times where I've had to shoot a bear because they were in my space. Maybe they thought I was in their space. I don't know, but it didn't matter. We weren't going to share the same space with each other.
Yeah.
So
You ever tried to pet a bear before?
not unless he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pet him, talked to him. Sorry, old dude. If you'd have stayed on your side of the creek, we'd have been just fine. I'd have took your picture and waved at you. Come over here, I'm going to smoke your sorry ass before you do mine. No, grizzlies are pretty all right. They're pretty predictable. You can always tell basically what is going to happen. They don't want to be around you any more than you want to be around them.
Yeah.
Black bears are the ones that are unpredictable. They'll get you, and people think they're kind of cute because they're small, but even, they're still 250 pounds, but they're all muscle.
Yeah. What do you think about these people that are riding their bikes up the haul road in the summertime?
Well, I think they got a lot of ambition and zero fucking brains, but that's all right.
Would you ever do that?
No.
If somebody paid you $1 million, said, Dwight, will you go take your bike out there? And
No, I'd walk, but I ain't going to ride no goddamn bike. It's a good way to get dead.
I asked my dad the same question. I said, would you ever ride your bike up the haul road? He's like, no. I was like, how about for $1 million? He's like, nope. I know the guys that drive up there.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, you sound just like your dad when you do it like that. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Sometimes my brother sounds more like my dad than my dad does.
Well, I'm sure Tanya could do a good impersonation of you, too. So,
Yeah, well, she's funny. I bought her a snow machine for her Christmas present one year, her first snow machine. I don't know. She must have been about 12, and she has got the need for speed, that girl. But anyway, I'm surprised she even has a driver's license because she likes to go fast, but she doesn't get tickets. But I bought this snow machine, and I tried it out, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have bought this one. That thing would really haul ass. So she got the key, and she was so excited, and I took her aside, and I said, don't burning out of here. I said, so she didn't, and she went out the driveway, and she disappeared out of sight, and I hear her pin that thing, and away she went, and she comes back with a big grin on her face, and I said, and don't you ever tell your mother how fast that goddamn snow machine goes, or you won't have it. Because that thing would do like 0 to 90 in about 300 feet. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have bought that one. But she rolled it over once. That kind of slowed her down a little bit. She come in too fast, and she was sliding sideways and then hit a little hard spot and flopped her machine over. Kind of got all bruised up, and that slowed her down for a minute or two, but not very long. My brother is the same way, though. He doesn't anymore, but when we were young, we'd head out to camp, and he'd be hitting the ground about every 30 feet, if you're lucky, and he's out to the cabin in an hour and 15 minutes, and it takes me like 3, Ha, 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 I beat you, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. I'm glad you beat me, because I came out here and the cabin's warm and dinner's made and the coffee's hot. I'm like, I didn't have to sit here with my coveralls on for an hour while the cabin warmed up. Brotherly love,
do you guys got an old barrel stove out there? What kind of stove you got?
Oh no, we got a homemade stove, and we got a really nice big old double door Fisher stove in our big cabin. We call it the cook shack because we all kind of congregate there, because some people like to go to bed early and some like to stay up late and drink beer. So the go to bed early guys can go to their cabin, and everybody else hangs out in the shack. But yeah.
Nothing like a nice fire, though.
No, ain't nothing more relaxing in the world than sitting there listening to the tea kettle hissing on the fire and wood popping in the stove, and a good book or some good conversation, or a hot toddy or whatever at the end of the day.
Yeah. What kind of wood do you like burning the best?
Oh, I like spruce, but birch puts out more heat and stuff, and it smells better. But
There's something about that spruce wood smell, though. When
Yeah,
it's burning.
I
I love that smell.
It's what I grew up with. I mean, I still live like that. I don't have electricity or any of that shit. I just live off grid, and I heat my house with wood. And
Yeah, that smell always reminds me of my grandpa file every time I smell that.
it reminds me of home. It's
Yeah.
it's a home smell. You know, you associate stuff with home. It's
Yeah.
like fresh bread cooking in the oven and wood smoke, and yeah. I mean, everybody says how they like this and that for dessert, and the best dessert to me is a fresh loaf of bread coming out of the oven, and when it's just almost still too hot to cut a chunk off about 2 inches thick and smear some butter on there and some homemade jam. That's the best goddamn dessert
man.
there is.
Yeah.
Grandma would have to make 3 or 4 loaves because us boys would sit there and eat 3 of them right off the get-go.
That makes me think of Grandpa. He'd always start his greenhouse in February. And it's like,
Yep.
man, you're out there keeping that wood stove going all the time in that greenhouse.
Yeah, we start ours like in March. I cheat. I got an oil drip stove in mine, so I just fire it up and
That's convenient.
feed the oil barrel. But they don't burn too much actually fuel. They're pretty good.
Yeah, March is probably a better time to start that than February.
March or February. Some of the stuff needs a long time, so if you get them started early, you get a good crop in. But
Man, Grandma, they always had a really nice garden. I don't know if you probably don't remember that.
I remember a little bit of it. I mean, I was pretty young, but
Yeah. Man, I love going over there, just eating out of the garden. It's awesome.
yeah, nothing better, right?
not much.
Seemed like I always gravitated towards the strawberries, but them green beans were nice too.
Yeah, those are 2 of my most favorite things right there: strawberries and green beans. I can eat green beans with every meal.
Yeah.
Old man's got to go pee again.
All righty.
Getting old, man.
I gotta.
You sure?
Yeah, I don't hardly say much about questions anymore because the younger guys, no offense to you, but they get a goddamn attitude. They always think you're trying to tell them what to do, and I'm like, no, I'm just watching you about to fuck up, and I'd like to help you out, but if you insist on the learning shit the hard way, have at her.
Yeah. So you're just trying to help the young guys out.
No, I don't want to tell them what to do. I'm just, I watch them and I'm like, if you did it like this, it'll work a lot better.
Since the beginning of time, you've always learned from your elders, and it's like now people don't want to do that.
No, they don't. I mean, when I was a kid, I would learn to sit. I'd sit in the back of the truck stop even when I was first driving and just listen to all the old guys, and then you're like, oh. So when nobody's around, then I go out and try that shit and see if it was actually really true or not, Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff just sitting there listening.
And most of the time it was true, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah.
You learn shit from everybody. You don't even somebody that surprises you, you'd learn something from. Just like carry your tie down gear or anything like that. I always keep my shit really neat because tire chains, I'm really fussy about how they're hung up. So. Yep. Because there ain't no fun chasing your hill truck and shit down the hill trying to untangle your fucking chains while you're chasing your truck down the hill backwards.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Keep your shit right. Tie down gear the same way, roll it up, fold it up, hang it up. Don't just put it in a frickin' pile.
Yeah, because when you need them, you need to be quick with it,
Yeah.
right? Quick and efficient.
And I used to always keep a couple of portable winches one on each side of my truck because 90 times out of 100, you can flip one of them down and behind a tire, and it'll hold the truck long enough to get you some chains on.
Yep.
And it don't matter if it's it's in the way. Drive over the cocksucker.
Yeah.
You can pick it up going downhill tomorrow when you come back because it'll still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the way either that or the state guy will have graded it off to the edge, and either way it'll still be there.
Yeah. So it's nice to have those portable winches there when you do spin out.
Oh, there's a lot of things, like that. I always, when I hook my chains, I always have tails first. Take them off, tails always downhill, always back onto your chains, even unless you just absolutely are going downhill and have to put them on. But because you don't when you back onto your chains, your tires don't give that little hump when you let it go. When you're going forward, they always give you a little slip.
Yeah.
And they'll wad your chains up, and then half the time you got to take them back to fuck off and put them back on again to get them on there.
Yeah.
You always set yourself up so you can,
Yeah.
like you're going to be spun out on the hill.
Yeah. Always set myself up. And then I always hook my tails because you got long tails. I like long tails because if I'm in a situation where I can't move, I can throw them on there and I can hook the two outside rails and spin my chains under the tires and then hook them together. And then if you got long tails, before you latch, you just put the end hook in there and latch them, and then your tails aren't flinging around knocking shit off. And same with the center, I always hook the first link and then I pull it up to the one I want and hook it. And
Yeah.
I can put a set of 3-railers on in about 3 minutes if I'm in a hurry.
So you could probably beat some of these guys chaining up.
Probably. I can do an average chain up is 5 minutes for me, but if I can do them in 3, a pair of 3-railers, one pair.
Yeah.
Like Fred Austin was saying he could do it in 8 minutes. He could put 2 sets on at 90 years old.
Yeah, you probably can.
That's pretty good.
But
Well,
he's had a lot of practice.
Once you learn how to do it, I mean, we did have a lot of practice. Like I said, the old trucks didn't have lockers, so when you spun out, you put all 4 chains on, or you weren't moving. It didn't move without all 4 of them on. So
Yeah.
and singles are the same as not having anything; they're useless. The only thing a single's good for is a steer tire.
Uh-oh.
And there's Joe. It's a good thing you weren't here because the bullshit was deep, I think.
Well, you got anything else to add, Aaron?
No, we're good. We
Okay.
probably got to go to work.
Dwight,
Dang it.
Thanks for coming in again, and maybe when Dave Smallwood gets up here, we get the two of you
Oh,
guys
Christ,
together.
dude. Yeah, that would be hilarious, probably.
The comedy hour.
Oh, yeah, I like Dave a lot. Yeah, he's had a storied life, too.
Oh, yeah. Alrighty. Thanks, Dwight.
Yeah, you guys have a good day. You got to go to work, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Roll.
I found my nuts, he says. Yeah, that was me. I found my nuts.